Okay. So, and then just to make sure that we're rolling along, if it's a smaller class, usually I'll entertain questions in between slides, but since it's a bigger class today, I'm just going to keep rolling along, and then if you have questions at the end, I can address those.
Can you just quickly tell us what metabolic test is?
Okay, so just a word about the metabolic test. Epic Med Spa offers the test. It's a breath test that measures your calorie requirements. So it's really neat. It tells you what your calorie requirements are at rest, what they are when you're doing 30 minutes of moderate exercise, and then it'll also tell you what your calorie requirements are for weight loss, if that's your goal. So those are things I can do. I can calculate those on my own, but the breath test is much more accurate than me just kind of doing calculations. So it's a really awesome test. It's more, like I said, more accurate. And if you've really been struggling, so like let's say you plugged in your calories into MyFitnessPal or Spark People or whatever, and you're like, geez, this doesn't seem right, I'm still hungry, I'm not seeing results, whatever, the metabolic test can give you a more definitive answer, if that makes sense. Yeah?
Is it free or how much is it?
It's $60 for the test, but everybody that's in the Biggest Loser program gets 10% off. Just let them know that you're from the Biggest Loser program. What else can I tell you about it? Yeah, so it's a 10 to 20 minutes breath test. You do have to breathe into a hose. It's a 4-hour fasting requirement so that it can get an accurate picture of your metabolic rates. And yeah, any other questions that you have, they can answer over there when you call. All right, so we'll get started. So I think talking about getting ready for summer is a great way to kind of kick this off because, I mean, obviously with the weather today, it doesn't look like summer, but eventually we'll get there. Before I go on though, can everybody hear me in the back with the fan? No.
Not close enough.
Okay.
I'll mind it.
Well,
Okay. Wait, you can turn it off certainly if you can't hear me, okay? It's hot in here and we're, kind of closed in and people were working out, so I want everybody to be like dying in here.
We stink.
And I don't think I introduced myself either. Some of you know me, some of you don't. My name is Kelly. I'm the registered dietitian here. I teach impact classes. I rotate the Friday nights. Sometimes you'll see me on Saturdays, and then I go to classes and get my butt kicked in there too. So. All right, by the end of the session, you'll be able to list at least 3 components of a balanced meal and name at least 3 tips for healthy eating during activities, among other things. All right, so first of all, I want to talk a little bit about metabolism. Does everybody know what that is? Kind of have an idea? So it's your body's process. It's your body's way of processing calories into either making it into energy or either storing it as fat, okay? So there are some things that we can do to regulate our metabolism. The biggest thing is exercise and building muscle mass, so that's what you guys are working on with your trainers, hopefully. But there are some other things that we can do to help regulate it as well, and that is following balanced meals and following good meal patterns. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All 3 are important. So if you are currently skipping meals or going really long intervals, like 5 hours or more between meals, that might be a good place to start. So I do recommend eating meals about 4 to 5 hours apart. I want to talk a little bit about blood sugars too with meal spacing. Even if you don't have a concern with your blood sugars or diabetes, we all still have blood sugar levels, right? So when we eat foods, our blood sugars kind of do this, or they go up, or they go down, or they stay kind of level, or have peaks and valleys, or whatever. If you are going really long intervals in between meals, or having unbalanced meals, your blood sugars might be doing this. When you have this going on, that can lead to cravings, that can lead to energy crashes, that can lead to overeating at meals, making poor food choices. So what you really want is something more like this with your blood sugars. And that you can get by eating balanced meals and eating, again, 4 to 5 hours apart between meals. Snacks are totally appropriate. If you're a person that likes to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner and that's it, that's totally cool. Just again, make sure you're not going any more than 5 hours apart. If you know you have a busy day at work, or if you're going to be out, you know, doing something all day or whatever, and you know it's going to be more than 5 hours till your next meal, it's a good idea to have a balanced snack to kind of break that up and keep your blood sugar stable. So an idea for a balanced snack, usually I like people to pair a protein and a carb together. So does everybody kind of know what proteins are? So like fish, lean meats, eggs, egg whites, those types of things. Complex carbohydrates, that might include like fruits. You could even do like a Greek yogurt is nice because it has protein and carbohydrate together, and it's a quick snack if you're on the go. So those would be examples of things that you can use as a balanced snack. Or like on the slide it says 1 ounce of cheese and a small apple. Again, that's something quick that you could carry with you. If you have a little cooler in the car, you could easily have that. Macro balance. What I mean by that are the macronutrients. So proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, those are your 3 macronutrients. You want to have a balance with those. And if all of you are using like the MyFitnessPal and the Spark people, there should be like a little pie chart and it kind of tells you where you fall in that macronutrients. Okay. There's ranges for the macronutrients, but usually I tell people to go on the lower side of the range for carbohydrates. So for instance, carbohydrate range should be somewhere between 45 and 65% of your total daily calories. If you are trying to lose weight, however, I would like you to go closer to the 45%. Does that make sense? Okay, if it doesn't, let me know. Proteins, that should be somewhere between 15 and 35%. So again, with weight loss, I'd like you to be on the higher end of the protein range, so toward that 35%. And then fat should be somewhere between 20 and 30%. That you can kind of play around with as long as they are healthy fats. So in other words, fats that are not from processed foods, fried foods, candies, desserts, that type of stuff. This is an example of the plate method. By now I think a lot of you have probably seen this. If not, what it is it takes a small to medium-sized plate and it divides it up into 3 sections. The biggest section of the plate, so half of your plate should be for vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, okay? The reason for that is vegetables are loaded with water, they're loaded with vitamins and minerals, they're loaded with fiber, so they help fill you up and they give you the most bang for your buck. They're not going to give you a whole lot of calories, but they're going to give you a lot of nutrition. 1/4 of your plate you can dedicate towards your starches. Preferably they would be the healthier starches, right? So your brown rices versus white rice, your whole wheat noodles versus the white noodles. You could do like a small sweet potato or a half of a white potato there. And then the last 1/4 of your plate, that should be for your proteins. So again, your meat, fish, poultry, preferably without skin, not fried. You could put beans there. And then over here, if you want, you can have a little portion of fruit. Or if that plate is enough for you at a meal, you could have the fruit for a snack. You can kind of play around with it. And then at the top right, it's cut off a little bit, but it's a serving of dairy. So you could do yogurt or milk or anything like that. So this is kind of a nice depiction of a way to split up your meal. It's portion controlled if you do it like this. And it's nice because if you're out at a barbecue or a buffet or just out in general, then you kind of know, okay, I can divide my plate up like this. Hydration is really important, especially when it starts to get hotter outside. If you're going to be doing work outside or even taking a walk and it's really hot out and you're perspiring. So hydration has a lot to do with metabolic function. So for instance, if you come in here wanting to do a really hard workout, but you're dehydrated, you may not be able to give 100% to your workout. Or maybe your muscles are really sore because you're not getting enough fluids, right? So very important to stay hydrated. Supports muscle function, promotes workout efficiency. A general rule of thumb here is to drink half of your body weight in ounces. So for instance, if you were 140 pounds, you would want to aim for 70 ounces a day. Now, if you really want to get technical, what you would do is if you come in before a workout, weigh yourself directly before your workout, and then weigh yourself right after the workout. For every pound that you lose, you should drink an additional 2 cups of fluid. Okay? So if you get on the scale after Zumba or whatever, and it says you're down 2 pounds, that means you should be drinking 4 more cups in addition to what you should be drinking daily. It doesn't always have to be just water either. It could be milk, it could be unsweetened tea, it could be vegetable juice, any of those. It could be low sodium broth. So anything that's a liquid does count. Preferably it wouldn't be soda though. The good news is you can also get fluids from your foods. As you can see, these are all foods with high water content, and this isn't an all-inclusive list. There's other foods as well. But like apples have 84% water. Watermelon is 92%. Lettuce is 95%. So you can get some hydration from food as well. If you're really not into just doing plain water, but you know you got to drink more or whatever, you can get, you know, kind of creative with it. You can add sliced oranges, cucumbers, limes, and lemons to your water. You can add mint or ginger to the water to give it a little oomph. You can add frozen grapes, berries, or melon for ice cubes in the water and then eat those, you know, when you're done drinking the water. If it helps to have a fun water bottle or a cup, I know it sounds a little bit childish, but sometimes that kind of motivates us, like, oh, I really love this water bottle or whatever. And I usually talk to you guys about this too. Hydro Flask, this is like my favorite workout item right here. The Hydro Flask, it keeps your water cold for up to 24 hours and I think hot for up to 12. And I do not like lukewarm water at all. So I really, if I'm going to drink it, it has to be cold. So when I was in Arizona, I think this had ice in it for almost 24 hours. So it's really awesome. Ooh. Going on with my presentation here. You can, I think we ordered it off Amazon. But they have, you know, if you Google Hydro Flask, they have their own website too. So they come in different sizes. Mine's massive because I drink a lot of water every day. But yeah, they have like 16 or 20 ounces or whatever. All right, a word about eating clean. That's what's really important, right, through this whole process. First of all, minimize sweets and sweeteners, okay? Even artificial sweeteners, I'd really like you guys to, you know, if you want to switch over from regular sweeteners to, regular sugar to artificial sweeteners, okay, but eventually I'd like you guys to be off of the diet sodas, off of the artificial sweeteners. There's not a whole lot of research yet to back this up, but the theory is that when you eat artificial sweeteners, it's still turning on those little sensory parts in your brain that make you want additional sweets. Does that make sense? So it's kind of perpetuating that craving. The other thing is with artificial sweeteners, you do not get any calories from them, but your body is waiting for those calories. Your body doesn't know what's going on when you taste those artificial sweeteners. So in other words, your body's kind of setting up for fat storage, like, hey, I'm waiting for those calories, I'm waiting for them. So it's perpetuating the cravings, it's setting your body up for fat storage. Okay? Increase your fruits and vegetables. That's huge. Every time we've done Biggest Loser, every time I look at people's food journals, I think at least 9 out of 10 people need more fruits and vegetables. We should be getting at least 5 servings, bare minimum, a day. All right, so if you include a fruit at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a vegetable at lunch and dinner, that's 5 servings right there. So that's one way you can do it. Reduce the fast food. Okay, so the good news is that the fast food industry is becoming more savvy and they're realizing, I don't know if you guys have been seeing the headlines, but they're realizing we don't want all this stuff in our food, the chemicals and preservatives, but that's still a work in progress. So if you're really looking to clean up your diet, reducing the fast food will help. Making sure you get adequate fiber. Fiber helps you feel full. It also cleans out your digestive tract, so it's kind of like a detoxifying food, if you will. So making sure you're getting somewhere between 25 and 35 grams a day is the recommendation. Now, if you look at your food journals and you're only getting 10 a day, I do not recommend going all the way up to 25 the very next day. You're probably going to feel some discomfort. So general recommendations there are to take it up about 5 grams each day. And obviously watch your comfort level. You know, if you need to take it slower, fine. Making sure you get adequate vitamin C for good immunity. There are some properties with foods that have vitamin C in them that have been known to detoxify as well. Eat minimally processed foods, again, avoiding the preservatives and the chemicals. And avoiding refined carbs. So that would be like your white rices, your white pastas, your white breads, those types of things. And then, of course, exercise and sleep are important. And the reason I put these in here, well, first of all, exercise goes hand in hand with nutrition, and you're all hopefully exercising with the Biggest Loser program. But exercise also gets rid of toxins in the body. You can sweat them out. And then sleep is really important because it regulates your appetite hormones and it regulates your stress hormones. So when your stress hormones are going haywire, we tend to eat more, or pick less healthy food choices when we're stressed out. When we're lacking in sleep, there's a hormone called ghrelin that tends to make us hungrier and want more to eat. So sleep is really essential to weight management as well. General recommendations for sleep are between 7 and 9 hours a night. Everybody's a little different, so you know your number might be a little different than the person next to you. But yeah, somewhere around that 7 to 9 hour a night. Foods with function. According to research, green tea has been shown to rev the metabolism. However, it says that somewhere between 2 and 4 cups a day. So if you're not a green tea fan, I mean, to me, that's a lot of green tea in one day. And keep in mind, just because these foods can rev your metabolism doesn't mean that like you can just rely on them and you know the weight will fall off. It's kind of like a complementary thing to what you're eating. Same thing with spices. A tablespoon of chopped red or green chili pepper can provide a temporary boost, but I believe it was like 30 minutes that it gives you that boost, and then it kind of goes back to normal. So again, these are things that you can complement your diet with, but I wouldn't just rely on them. There's a lot of stuff that I see on the internet about negative calorie foods. This does not exist. So if you're on Pinterest and it says, oh, negative calorie foods, you know, that is not a true thing. So keep that in mind. Yes, there are certain foods that can create an environment that enhance calorie and fat burning ability, but you're still going to get some calories from anything you eat. Detoxifying foods, things like yogurts. There's bacteria in yogurt that tend to eat up the bad bacteria in our digestive tract. And there's a lot of research coming out that's saying that our digestive tract is really important for immunity, for weight management. So anything you can eat that will kind of clean it out is really good. So yogurt for the good bacteria. Watercress has some energizing cleansing enzymes and can act as a natural diuretic. Lemon water has some vitamin C for fat burning and can help with digestion. But again, I wouldn't just rely on, you know, there's a lot of stuff on the internet like, oh, drink a glass of, you know, hot lemon water every single morning. You know, you can do that, but I wouldn't just rely on that by itself. Green tea, again, flavonoid called catechins enhances liver activity and produces detox enzymes. Whole grains are really helpful for regularity, so again, cleaning that digestive tract out. Leafy greens, beans, and nuts have magnesium, lower levels, which helps with lower levels of fasting glucose and insulin. And I just read an article that said, I think it was 75 to 80% of the American population falls short of their magnesium needs. So that's something to consider as well. A note about farmers market, because this is the time of year where they're going on, right? Again, at least 5 fruits and vegetables a day is the recommendation. Farmers markets are really awesome because you can get fresh, local produce. Anything that they're selling is typically in season, right? So it's probably going to be better quality, better taste. And not that you can't get produce from the store, but the reason I tout farmers markets is because stuff from the store, so like let's say you get grapes from Chile. Well, you don't know how long they've been on the food truck, what kind of environmental exposures they've had. So all of those things factor in with how much nutrients are left in the grapes, right? So, but if you get it from a local farmer, you know, probably just harvested it pretty recently, it looks fresh, you're going to be getting more benefits from the nutrition. Has anybody heard of the Dirty Dozen with the whole organic thing? Okay, some of you. The science, you know, there's not enough science to back up that organic is healthier, but if you do have concerns about the chemical exposure and the pesticides and everything that comes along with non-organic produce, you can look into doing organic. What I would recommend is you can Google Dirty Dozen, and it comes up with a list of the top produce items that have the most amount of chemicals and pesticides. So whatever's on the Dirty Dozen list, if you want to, you can buy those things organic, okay? Bananas are usually on the Dirty Dozen list, but like with bananas, at least I don't eat the peel, so if you're like something like that, I don't buy organic because the peel's really, it's really thick, I'm gonna throw it out, so. All right, a word about road trips, if anybody's taking any road trips. Pack your cooler, right? You don't have to do all restaurant fast foods on the road. Or even if you are a person that works, you know, if you're driving a lot for work, you can pack a cooler. Try to maintain your meal patterns as best as possible. If you know you've got a really long drive in the car, you know, again, every 4 or 5 hours, try to stop, have something to eat, or at least pack a snack that you can eat while you're driving. Try to avoid car meals if you're not in a big hurry to get to your destination. So in other words, get out of the car, walk around a little bit, actually sit, you know, and enjoy the food, not just kind of, you know, shovel it in as you're driving, trying to get to your destination. And also by getting out of the car and actually enjoying your food, that can help you to pay attention and realize any hunger cues and satiety cues. So when you start to feel full. Try to choose whole foods and good fluid choices for energy. And then take exercise and stretching breaks. 3 10-minute stops is 30 minutes of activity, and that's bare minimum what we should be doing a day anyhow. So even if you know you're going to have a full day of travel, if you can just get out of the car for 10 minutes and take a little walk, do some, I don't know, lunges or some squats or something, you know, even just doing that will help a little bit. And it's good to stretch your muscles and get some fresh air anyhow too. Airports. If you have time, you can have a healthy meal at home before going to the airport. Or if you know there's a healthier restaurant because you're in a hurry, you can stop there. You can pack your own meal and snacks. I mean, we just took a trip to Arizona and my husband had oranges in his backpack, and I usually take like snacky foods like almonds and whatever, and I put it on my carry-on, and it, you know, there's no problem. There are some, I think you can find healthier restaurants in the airport now. A lot of them have like grills and stuff where you can get like a grilled chicken sandwich or some vegetables or whatever. Drink 1 glass of fluid per hour in flight. Remember that you do lose fluids when you're flying. So yeah, you don't want to get dehydrated. You can use the stairs and carry luggage to get a little activity in. And then you can walk around while you're eating too. Or I'm sorry, while you're waiting, not while you're eating. If you're on a cruise, some tips here. Start by the salad and vegetables in the buffet line, okay? And another tip would be to, if you can, scan the buffet line before you get in line. I know that might be a little bit of a hassle. But sometimes if we just get right in line and we start filling our plate, it's like, oh, whoa, you know, I've got all this stuff and now I want another plate and I didn't get to the end of the line. So if you kind of scan the buffet and scan the selections and kind of think, okay, well, I always have that, but I never have that, you know, this is what I want, I should really have that on my plate, then you kind of have in mind like, okay, I can choose this, skip this, that sort of thing. You can set a plate limit if you're at a buffet, so I'm only going to have one plate, or I'm going to do a plate of salad and then one, you know, entree or whatever. Sit facing away from the buffet. That can help with temptation, right? Because if you see people going up and then see people grabbing desserts or whatever, and it's like, oh. So if you sit facing away, eat in the main dining room versus visiting the buffet area. Decline one of the courses. So if they're serving, you know, dessert and appetizer, you know, whatever they've got going on with the meals, you don't have to have all of that. Ask for half portions. Limit the sauces and the dressings. You can also, if your cruise has spa menus, you can choose from something like that. If you splurge on one meal, scale back on the next. That is not something that I generally recommend, but sometimes it happens where you're like, oh man, I just, you know, I just ate way more than I should have, and I just picked the wrong food choices or whatever. Sometimes that happens. Again, not giving you a license to do that, but if that happens, then at the next meal you make better choices, okay? I will say I do not recommend like overeating at one meal and then just entirely skipping the next meal, because again, then you're going to have this going on with your metabolism and your blood sugars, and that's going to lead to poor food choices. Snack if you must. If you know it's going to be a long time till dinner or whatever, again, you can have a little handful of almonds and a string cheese or a piece of fruit or something to kind of curb your appetite while you're waiting. Water versus alcohol. I think the rule of thumb there is for every one serving of alcohol, you should do 2 servings of water.
Sure, that's not backwards.
Yeah. You wish, right? So, but alcohol, it dehydrates you, it gives you empty calories, it tends to lower our inhibition, so we tend to want to make poor food choices when we have alcohol. So some things to keep in mind there. Eat slow, that's another thing, you know, and that's just part of our culture too. I think we're just always in a hurry to get on to the next thing, but really being mindful of what you're eating, enjoying the meal can really make a difference. And again, paying attention to satiety cues, you know, geez, am I still hungry? Do I really need to take another bite? Am I starting to feel full? Those types of things. You can share desserts, or, you know, if it's a dessert that you like never get to have, like, I don't know, maybe it's tiramisu and that's like your favorite thing, but you only have that, you know, once or twice a year. Okay, then have that, but again, maybe you have half the portion and then you don't have any other desserts for the rest of the day. Be aware of the late night dining and snacking. That can really get you there. And then of course hit up if they have a gym, any classes, pools, tracks, dancing, beach games. Stay active on vacation. I know we all kind of want to just like lay there and be, which is great. You should do some of that if that's what you want to do, but also get up and do some things. If any of you are camping, planning ahead is the biggest thing, right? So coming up with some sort of grocery list, hitting up the store, coming up with some sort of meals that you can easily cook over a campfire. You can make meals ahead of time and freeze them, and then just, yeah, put them over the campfire, or if you have a grill, do something like that. If you know the area well, or, I mean, the internet's a wonderful thing now, because even if you don't know the area well, you can look up if there's markets or anything on your way to the campgrounds. Make sure you take enough water. And then potatoes and squash are really wonderful because those are things that don't require any refrigeration, but you can easily make them over a fire, and you can add them to pretty much any meal. Just again, portion control with those types of things because they are starchier foods. So other ideas for camping, or again, if you're going on a plane, some of these would work too. Unsalted nuts, seeds, natural peanut butter, natural fruit leathers. So I'm not talking like fruit snacks. I'm talking like actual fruit leathers made from real fruit and just real fruit. Protein bars, just again with those, watch the sugar content. Some of them can be pretty high. High fiber cereals like Kashi's, you can kind of snack on those a little bit. Those actually have a pretty good amount of protein and fiber in them. Wasa or Akmak crackers, has anybody tried either of those? Okay, wait, did you guys like them, not like them, they're okay? No?
I like the wasa. The wasa.
You like the
But
wasa?
you have to like something that's a little bit dense, for a cracker.
Yeah,
And you can hide
yes,
the
it's
peanut
dense.
butter.
It's like cardboard, only not as tasty.
I didn't want to say that, but yes, I took it. But no, they are good. They're kind of an acquired taste. If you eat them with like sliced cheese or peanut butter or guacamole, I think they're good. I would never eat them on their own. Unsweetened tea, canned beans, you could easily make those over a campfire. Of course, chicken, fish, turkey burgers, whole wheat or whole grain buns, breads and pitas, canned tuna or chicken that's packed in water. Again, that stuff doesn't require any refrigeration. Low sodium soups, vegetables, zucchini, and dark chocolate for trail mix. Can you guys still hear me okay in the back? Okay. All right, tips for parties, barbecues, and picnics. Again, I know obviously if you're going to an event like a graduation or whatever, yeah, you want to have a good appetite when you get to the event and you don't want to seem like, you know, a downer or whatever. But you can eat a small snack beforehand to kind of curb your appetite so that you're better able to make good choices when you go to the party, right? You can bring your own healthy dish if you've been asked to bring something and you know that whoever's hosting doesn't typically have a lot of healthy options, then maybe that's what you do. Again, set limitations for yourself before you even get to the party, because once you get to the party, sometimes it's all bets are off, right? So even, you know, when you're in the car on the way there, okay, I'm gonna have a 1 plate limit with this, or I'm gonna have that salad beforehand, or whatever. So again, planning ahead, that's kind of what we've been talking about. Again, water and fruits and vegetables. I can't stress that stuff enough. If you can fill up on vegetables especially, because they're low calorie and high in fiber, that's always a good thing. And then you can treat salad as the main course and have meat as the side. You can do something like that. Again, the avoid, limit alcohol thing. I realize that yes, it's kind of part of our culture, living in the Milwaukee area and Wisconsin in general. You want to have a little bit of alcohol, but know that alcohol is metabolized different than the macronutrients are, so protein, fat, and carbohydrate. So, so right now, just sitting here, we're all burning some calories from fat, but if you were to have some wine or some beer or whatever, our bodies recognize alcohol as a toxin. So that fat burning gets put on the back burner so that our bodies can get rid of the toxin, okay? So essentially what that means is that our body is now in fat storage mode. So not that you can't have alcohol, but just keep that in mind, like, okay, do I really need to have a drink tonight? Should I set a limit for myself? How much should I be drinking? Those types of things. Give that some thought. You can employ the plate method like we talked about, that slide that have the plate divided up in half and the 2 quarters. That will help keep things portion controlled. Focus on the activities. You know, we're very much, again, our society is very like food centered and food focused, which is great. But at the same time, it can be our downfall too. So that's great that you want to enjoy the food, please do, but make sure that that's not the focus of whatever you're participating in. So if you can do yard games or, I don't know, run around with the kids, take a walk, you know, something active that takes the focus off of the food, that would be good. If you have a pushy host or hostess, you know, you kind of have to know how to deal with them too. But you can say something like, thank you, but I've had enough, everything was great. You know, come up with something that hopefully is not going to hurt their feelings, but like kind of let you off the hook. Because again, I think we all know somebody who's a little bit pushy, like, oh, have more, or, you know, you didn't try this, or whatever. Some ideas for healthy party foods, you could do something like salmon, pico de gallo, bean dips, guacamoles. Just again with the guacamole, just watch the portion there, because guacamole has really heart-healthy fats in it, but it also packs a lot of calories, so you can spend a lot of calories just on guacamole. Shrimp with salsa was a little bit healthier than with the cocktail sauce. You can do veggies with Greek yogurt dip instead of like a ranch, you know, the typical ranch dip that's creamy. There's all sorts of recipes out there, but essentially what you can do is take like a plain Greek yogurt, put the ranch powder mix in there, and kind of whip that together as a dip. Sushi, just again, watch what you're all putting with the sushi. Fruit and cheese, and then mixed nuts and seeds. Again, mixed nuts and seeds typically have heart-healthy fats. Just watch your portion control there, because again, it also comes with a lot of calories. Barbecues. You can opt to not have a bun, or you can do half a bun, or if you're responsible for bringing the buns, maybe bring whole grain buns, do something like that. Not that you're going to eat a whole 20-ounce T-bone, but just FYI, a whole 20-ounce T-bone has 1,540 calories. So even if you do half of that, that's still a lot. You could do something like a turkey burger, but one thing I want to stress while we're talking about turkey burgers is sometimes when I see people that are trying to manage their weight, they feel like all they can eat is turkey, fish, and chicken. And that's not necessarily true. You can do lean beef. Some of the lean beef is just as lean as the turkey out there, so you can do some of that. But I usually tell people, like, if you can do something like the Mediterranean diet, like 3 to 4 times a month red meat, that would be good. I wouldn't do a whole lot more than that, because red meat is linked with inflammation and heart concerns. So not that you can't have red meat, just, you know, not every day. But I do understand you get sick of doing the same old chicken, turkey, and fish. With meats, choose loin or round cuts. Those are typically your leaner cuts. You can do things like kebabs. You know, those are really awesome party foods because, you know, I mean, a lot of people like kebabs, and you can do whatever with them. You can put beef on one, chicken on another, shrimp on another. You can mix the fruit in there. You could put peach on there. You could put peppers on there. You can do all sorts of combinations. So those are really fun to play around with. If you're going to do a marinade, which I do recommend for your meats, because when you're charring your meats, that typically has carcinogenic properties, which translates to cancer. So I do recommend using some sort of barrier when you're grilling your meats. And believe me, I love charred meat, so it's disappointing for me as well and getting some looks. But yeah, you really should be using some sort of barrier between your meats and the grill. So like tin foil, or again, if you do a marinade, that helps a little bit too. So you can use anything like a salsa, citrus juice, wine, salad dressing, Mrs. Dash, all the seasonings. You can kind of, you know, whip any of those together and use those as a marinade. Try to replace some of the ketchup with tomato. Ketchup is relatively low calorie on its own, but it does have sugars in there and other things in there that they like to make it taste good. So you can do tomato instead. Try to skip the extra sauces. And then hummus and avocado make for great spreads. It doesn't always have to be butter or mayo on your sandwich. You can do hummus or avocado. Your red flakes are typically things like your coleslaws and potato salads, because, you know, those are typically things that are made with like mayos and things like that. A half a cup of the typical potato salad has about 12 grams of fat. You can use things like low-fat Greek yogurt and vegetables in your, if you're going to do like a potato salad or a coleslaw, you can do something like that. Your creamy fruit salads, whipped cream and cream cheese gives you about 14 grams of fat per serving. So again, you may want to think about some different ways to whip that up. And then flavored coffee runs you anywhere from 300 to 700 calories. Coffee on its own, just plain old coffee, is fine. It's when you start adding all the good stuff to it. So. All right, desserts. I want to address this too. Try to skip the sugary toppings on the ice cream. If you can, use sliced fruits, or you can make your own fruit purees too. Just throw them in the blender. You can do any combination of those too. If you want like a mixed berry or just pineapple or whatever, just throw them in the blender and just pour it over your ice cream like you would a topping. You can do something like frozen fruit with milk and or peanut butter. Again, Pinterest has a ton of these recipes. And that's all it is. They just take like bananas, peanut butter, maybe a little bit of almond milk or a little bit of vanilla extract, blend it up and freeze it, and you can eat it like ice cream. You can do something like frozen Greek yogurt. You can do frozen berries and grapes that have been dipped in yogurt and chia seeds and treat that as like a little dessert. Any other recommendations for desserts? No? Okay. And these are mostly cold desserts because, again, we're talking about summer. Sporting events. Determine what's offered ahead of time if you can. Just so you know, hot dog typically runs you around 1,250 milligrams of sodium. That's a whopping amount of sodium for one piece of food. So the American Heart Association recommends that we should be eating somewhere between 1,500 and 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day. If you have heart concerns like blood pressure or anything like that, you should be aiming for 1,500 milligrams a day. So if you have a hot dog, you're just about at your limit for the day. And I'm guessing you're probably not going to just eat the hot dog either. You're probably going to have, yeah, you might have some chips. You might have some toppings on the hot dog. Or if you have a soda, even soda has sodium in it. So it all adds up very quickly. Just like I said with the other events, you can eat a little something beforehand. You don't have to eat at the ballpark. Or if you like to eat at the ballpark, again, just eat something ahead of time to curb your appetite so you're not getting, I don't know, 2 hot dogs or a hot dog and a sundae or whatever. Make wise choices, again, the best that you can. I know there's not a whole lot of healthy stuff at the stadium, but I think we talked about this with the last group. Didn't somebody say there was like a sandwich stand at Miller Park? Okay, somebody said there was like that they would make actual sandwiches. You can take your own snacks, especially if you're tailgating. I mean, you know, you can control what you're eating with the tailgating. Avoid drinking your calories. What I mean by that is, again, if you're going to do regular sodas and if you're going to do juice, if you're going to do alcohol, I mean, those are going to give you a whole lot of calories without hardly any nutrition. So, in my opinion, I'd rather eat my calories. But you can decide what works for you. Ideas for tailgating, again, pretty much the same things that we talked about. You can bring lean burgers, whole grain buns, salsa with baked chips. Pop chips are okay if you're going to do something like that. Popcorn with Parmesan sprinkled on it. Veggies with spinach and artichoke dip that's being made with Greek yogurt. You can do fruit and yogurt dip. Pico de gallo is one of my favorite things to bring to a tailgating. You can do your own trail mix. Make up your own trail mix with like kashi cereal, some dried fruits, a little bit of dark chocolate, something like that. Festivals, some tips here, because I'm sure everybody probably will hit up a festival this year. Share. So again, if you're going to go to State Fair and you love the funnel cake, and you're going to have the funnel cake, share it with whoever you're with. Be choosy. You know, if it's something that you can have any old day of the week, like cookies or whatever, you know, perhaps you skip that and have something else. Or if you absolutely love cookies like I do, maybe you have the cookies and then skip whatever else you were thinking of having. Savor what you're eating. So again, really pay attention to the flavor of the food and what you enjoy about the food, that sort of thing. Baked potatoes can be okay. You can get, again, State Fair has those. You can load those up with vegetables. Just watch like the cheese sauces and the butters and things like that. Turkey legs, those are typically lean. Just again, the skin, watch that. Roasted corn on the cob, that could be a good choice. Again, just watch the salt and the butter. It's all what you put on the food, right? That's the biggest thing. Pizza can be fine, just again, limit the amount of slices you're having. You can do something like a frozen yogurt for a dessert or share the frozen yogurts. The milk stands at State Fair, you could have the milk, just again watch how many you're having because the sugar content is pretty high in the flavored stuff. Fresh fruits, that's at practically every festival, right? The Summerfest usually has fruit stands. Does Six Flags? I don't know if Six Flags has any fruit stands. They do?
No idea.
Okay, I think they do. I haven't been there in a while. And then caramel apples, at least you're getting a little bit of fruit serving if you're going to have a dessert. Just again, watch what you're putting on it. All right, adult beverages. Ideas here. The typical Long Island iced tea is 780 calories, guys. And it depends on if you're getting a short or a tall or who's making it or whatever. But yes, 780 calories there. So some ideas for subbing. You could do a rum and Diet Coke with sliced lime. Again, I'm not a big fan of diet soda, but you know, we've got to have a little give and take here. So that can save you about 600 calories right there. The typical margarita, and I know again, it depends on who's serving you and what portion margarita you're getting, but 740 calories. So something that you can do, apparently Corazon Blanco tequila is a little bit lower in calories. You can get that on the rocks with a splash of lime. Mojitos are somewhere around 160 calories. Just use your portion control because they typically have the sugar content. All right, so then this is fun too. Carnival foods and exercise. This is just like an FYI. So a foot-long hot dog with the bun runs you somewhere between 413 to 604 calories. So if you wanted to burn that off, you'd have to come to something like a high-impact aerobics class, like a boot camp. A fried Snickers is between 354 and 518 calories, so you could come to like a boxing or punching bag class like Impact to burn that off. A fried Twinkie is 325 to 474 calories. So if you just do some general exercise, well, I shouldn't say general exercise, what I mean is pretty moderate to vigorous exercise in the club. 177 to 259 calories for cotton candy. So you do something like weightlifting or light or moderate effort, so like a pump class would burn that off. But again, that doesn't give you a license to eat those foods and then come in here because, again, you're trying to lose weight, not just maintain, right? So you don't want to just burn off that snack that you had last night. You're trying to burn off more than that, so. All right, so we do have a few minutes left. Does anybody have any questions about anything in the presentation or in general? Or I think I answered everything about the metabolic test, but anything else about that?
And where do we sign up for that?
So you can call, or you could go over there. I don't know what time they're open till today, but Epic Med Spa, it's just right next door. Yep. And then just let them know that you are from the Biggest Loser program because you get that discount.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do they really make fried Twinkies?
Yeah, at State Fair, yeah. And fried Snickers. And pretty much anything you can think of, I'm sure they can find. Yeah. I don't know. I've never had one. They batter them first. Oh, she says they batter them first. Because they made fried beer too, didn't they? The other year?
Beer, but they did. That's how you do the Snickers bar. Otherwise, they would chocolate the oil and yogurt.
Yikes. But yeah, I did see on the news they did fried beer a couple years ago, and it was just like a pocket, like a a battered pocket of having warm. I don't know. All right, well, thank you. Oh, please try to put some chairs back if you can.
I have a question.
Yeah.
With regard to